Don't worry. Got the funky looking Photoshop out. You know, I'm still sticking with it. We're gonna stick with it until we physically can't use it anymore. It adds character. It adds charm to the tier list. It's like, man, this is so shoddily made. It had to be made by Zero, you know? Wait, which one used AI? Oh, right. You make a good point. You make a good point. That one was Echoes of Tomorrow, right? Hold on. I'm moving that shit. That is an adjustment I'm making. Disqualified. Leave. Not on the tier list anymore. I'm not ranking it. Not allowed. Anyway, because as I've said before, even the lowest of C tier, I still consider to be, like, fine mods, you know? Because a C is still a C. It's still passing. So, you know what? Not even on here anymore. Alright. So, let's actually update this thing. Out of all 5 of these, I might save Salvation Remake for last, just because I probably have the most to say about that, I guess. Or it's the longest one, so probably save that one for last. A lot of the other ones are semi-short. I think actually the shortest one might literally be Small Yuri. I feel like it resized, because I mean, it's essentially just Small Yuri's Big Adventure, but better, you know? Controls have been improved. The visuals are no longer NES visuals. We're playing on the SNES visuals. You know, it's got an updated visual style to look a little bit similar to Paper Small Yuri. So it's like, you know, it really is just Small Yuri, but updated. So it's like, I don't know. I'd honestly say it's probably... I feel like it's A tier again now. Because, I mean, I still liked original Small Yuri. It's Small Yuri, but better. And I feel like it's still A tier. Like, I mean, I feel like there's no reason it would be anything lower. And, I mean, as much as I do like Small Yuri, it's like, it didn't change too much for me to really consider it to be S, you know, like Paper Small Yuri. But, I mean, I think it's good enough to still be considered A, though, you know? So, all right. Next. Cheating Club. Let's rank that one next. Why not? All right, so this one is weird. This mod was the mod where the point is MC is essentially a douchebag. He essentially is dating all of the girls without informing them that he is dating them. And you have to try to find a way to hang out with them during the club without the others finding out. That's like the description I read about the mod, and I thought it was gonna be really expansive and try to figure out ways to go around them. It really wasn't. If anything, I do like the fact that you fail all the time. That's the part I liked. I wasn't expecting anything less with that. I just thought there'd be more like expansive like choices and stuff, and let me actually try to somehow weasel my way around. But yeah, no, it really is just you try to spend the afternoon without any of them finding out, and it always backfires. But I do like that it always backfires. It definitely does some things that borderlines a shitpost. I will definitely say that. Sayori's big giant gun that she pulls out is a example I can think of at the top of my head. But I mean, it was enjoyable for the most part. The girls, I don't remember anybody being severe. I mean, well, Sayori does shoot you with a gun. I was gonna say, like, I don't remember them being too out of character. Never mind, Sayori literally shoots me with a fucking gun. You know, maybe that was, maybe that's her neutral specialty. I don't know. I don't know. It was definitely, I definitely enjoyed myself, but I'm like, in terms of like, if I had to put on the tier list, it might be a C tier, honestly. Not because I think it's bad by any means. It definitely could have used a little bit of polishing, you know, here and there. And I still enjoyed myself while playing it, you know, but could have used a bit of polishing here and there. But it also feels like it was a mod that probably wasn't meant to be taken too seriously. So, I mean, that's kind of why I can't really give it a B. Let's do Cooking with Natsuki, because again, another short mod, even shorter than Cheating Club, honestly. Cheating Club at least had like other routes and stuff. Cooking with Natsuki was like a very short mod, but I mean, doesn't mean it's bad. It was fine. It was cute. I liked it. It was a nice little cute mod. It was Natsuki. She had her own little YouTube web show where she dated. She cooked. Damn it. Fucking. I got Cheating Club on my mind. She cooked. Where she was cooking things. She was a cooking YouTuber. And yeah, you know, it was cute. Sayori shows up, then she teaches Sayori how to cook food. Sayori isn't the best at it, but Natsuki sticks with her. And, you know, it actually, surprisingly, for a mod that I thought was just going to be, like, cooking with Natsuki and just be, like, a short little, like, haha, funny comedy mod, it actually had a cute little resolution at the end and, like, actually had a semi-emotional moment, too. with Sayori's, like, a breakdown almost, you know? It was pretty nice. I feel like I'd say B+. Honestly, like I don't know if it's on like the level of A, like a lot of the other mods, but honestly, I think it's a solid B+ though. You know, it was a cute short mod. It was nice. It was nice. And you know what? Actually, only B+ because it ended off talking about what the dog doing, and there was no dog in the mod. So you know, for the elusive dog that never gets brought up, B+. You know, maybe if they showed the dog, maybe I would give it higher. But, you know, there was no dog. So, build your own festival / a mystery with Monica. I'm going to use the logo for build your own festival. Actually, I don't know. Because I'm like, a part of me, like, I want to use build your own festival's logo, even though the mod is technically a mystery with Monica. But it's like, if people were to look at it and go download it, right? Like, they're gonna see build your own festival. Because that's essentially, I noticed that a lot of people do use my tier list as a way to be like, oh, what should I download? You know, like, so they'll look it up on Google or something to download said mod. So I'm like, if they see a mystery with Monica, they're gonna look up a mystery with Monica and, like, not even find anything in terms of it on, like, the subreddit or anything where you can download it. They're gonna fucking not find it. They're just gonna find my video, you know, hopefully, and they'll probably hopefully find the mod download link with that. So, I mean, honestly, I'm just gonna use build your own festival as a way to rank it, because I mean, it's not like anyone's gonna get confused with any other mod. Build your own festival / a mystery with Monica. So first, let's obviously talk about the festival part. I mean, jokes aside, the festival part is actually a pretty cool, like, I do like the little obvious FNAF 6 reference, Pizzeria Simulator. It's an obvious reference to that, and I mean, it's cute. I like it. I like that it's put in the realm of DDLC, where, you know, you build your own festival. You can pick the lights, you pick the poem that Monica presents, you pick the streamers, and I like that you have to get the real, like, unlike Pizzeria Simulator where you just play it and it doesn't matter what you do, that gets you to the real game. I like that you have to actually do the right options specifically, right? For the DDLC, you have to follow how the festival was in the base game in order to continue on and get the actual mod to show up. However, you can't do that on your first try, though. That's actually another thing I kind of like. Because as slightly mentioned in the chat when we were playing, he was like, yeah, the little sound that plays, little sound cue that plays, that you pick the right option, does not play in the first time you go through. So I do like that it only happens if you play it again, kind of testing your DDLC, I guess, knowledge, to be like, hold on, there's something more to this, you know, because if you just sit there and drop it and say, all right, well, that's it, that's the mod, then I don't know. You shouldn't have done that. What's wrong with you? Did that ending message mean nothing to you? But, yeah, that was cute. But the actual mod, A Mystery with Monica, very nice. Very lovely mod. I love the fact that it doesn't even really rely... It's like... Okay, so it does have a focus on OCs, which, to be honest, I do find myself kind of having an issue with at times, because it's like, when you play DDLC mods, you play them for the DDLC girls. So when you put a giant focus on OCs, a lot of times people don't really give a damn because, well, they're not playing for them, you know? You're not playing a DDLC mod for Kotanawa. You're playing a DDLC mod for the DDLC girls. So it's like, a lot of the time, that would kind of hurt, you know, a lot of mods. But I think with this mod, it works well because, one, Monica is still there. She is still a very important character in the cast, and the literal plot of said mod is about getting the other girls back. So, you know, you don't feel like they're being replaced. It's like, okay, this is the mission. We have to save them. You know, it's a save the Dokis mod, if you will. Have you guys ever heard that phrase? I know that's probably a new one, guys. I like the fact that we even get to kind of learn to know them, too, you know? Like, we get depending on the route we pick as Kiyoshi, we get to learn a little bit about each of the girls, and you know, it's fine. I like it. I feel like it doesn't overstay its welcome. You know, we get a little nice conversation, and that's essentially what it boils down to. They get one good conversation between them and Kiyoshi, and then the mod's like, okay, you know what we are, you know? Like, this isn't a slice of life. You're not going to be able to sit here and learn more about Mio's home life, okay? I'm sorry to tell you. We got a mission here. Like, I do like that we get a little bit of character building, though, you know? All the girls, when they do show up, are in character. Characterization's great. Monika's characterization's great. I like that it almost feels like a message towards people who always want this, like, perfect story for the girls, like this perfect world where, like, get rid of all their problems and have, you know, nothing happen. You know, it's like a lot of people want that for them, but it's like, do you really want all of that, though? Like, I understand getting rid of, like, at least helping them through their issues, but removing them entirely, you almost are removing their identity to a degree, you know? It's like, you can't just remove Sayori's depression, you know? At least in some cases. Obviously, I don't want people to take this the wrong way, and then when they're making their mod, they're like, I didn't give Sayori depression. I'm like, that's fine. You don't have to, you know, it's like, you don't have to, like, if you want to remove it, that's fine, obviously, but it's like, I can see in the sense that people want the girls to sometimes be in this world where they don't have any of their issues at all, when some of their issues is what makes them who they are, to a degree. So, it's like, I do kind of like how that's a commentary on that. But, yeah, what else? I mean, the UI is crazy. I'm once again slightly showing that, you know, he is able to do insane things with the code of DDLC. I'm not surprised, but yet I'm surprised. Like, I am impressed, yet I'm not surprised, because Slightly is the same person who not only created a Friday Night Funkin' mod in Renpai, also in his regular mod, mind you, he hid Friday Night Funkin' in his regular mod. He also recreated the entirety of Helltaker in Renpai, so, you know, kind of insane. So, yeah, again, not surprised about that, the fact that the coding is immaculate. I like the use of the Mio CG. I will say it is definitely odd, though, because it is weird that only she gets a CG, but the other two don't. It is, like, a very odd placement. I will definitely say that, but I mean, don't have an issue with that, though. It's not like it's that big of a deal. The poems! There's new poems. I love the new poems. Like, all the new poems for each of them are cute. I like that they, I like the contrast between the fact that you can tell that, they're not exactly like the base DDLC girls. Like, they're not experienced with making poems, so they don't really... They're not super critical of each other or anything because they don't really know what they like. So they're just like, oh, yeah, your poem's pretty good. Oh, yeah, thanks. You know, like, they're casual. I also like how they don't fully... I also like how it kind of plays into the fact that they don't fully understand the assignment. Because Monika's like, yeah, you gotta, you know, play the roles. So they're like, okay. So then you have Mio, who's told that she has to be vice president. And she thinks that Sayori, as vice president, was probably this, like, super responsible person. And as we know, Sayori shows up with toothpaste on her collar and doesn't even button up her blazer. So, you know, we know how Sayori is as a vice president. Or, like, the fact that, like, Otanawa and Amy's, you know, Yuri Natsuki argument is not even an argument. It's, like, almost at all. You know, it's funny. But, yeah, it's good. It's a really good mod. I love it. I love the ending and everything. The music, the original music's great, too, you know. This is very good mod. This is very good, honestly. Honestly, I might have to give it an S for me. This honestly might be an S tier mod for me. Like, I don't... Like, I have a hard time even coming up with problems to have with this mod. Like, I don't even know if I have any. Like, I remember during the playthrough, I was like, I could see maybe some people having an issue with how long we spend with the other girls that aren't the DDLC cast. But, like, I don't know, man. I don't really have an issue with this. I mean... I guess MC mentioning... I guess them mentioning MC masturbating in the closet. I guess that could be seen as a bad thing. But, like, I don't know. I mean, it was just like... I mean, I thought it was kind of... caught me off guard. I thought it was kind of funny. But I like that they didn't focus on it, you know? It's a crude joke, but it wasn't, like, focused on, right? Like, it happened, but, you know, it's a crude joke, but it wasn't focused on. So, I mean, even if you're someone who is not a huge fan of that kind of humor, it's, like, not like they were talking about it too much. I guess it caught me off guard. I thought it was funny. So, Salvation Remake. Where do we put the original Salvation? A tier? Oh, okay. Well, it's just more Salvation, so, you know, A tier. Good night, everybody. No, just kidding. Let's talk about it. Salvation Remake. So, I will say this. I kind of can't even really say, you know, like saying like, oh, it's just Salvation again. It should just get the same tier. Because it is definitely different than the original Salvation. They have the same kind of fundamental story, but they don't have the same story, you know? I don't know how to describe this. It doesn't function in the same way. Like, obviously, it's the same story of MC saves Sayori from killing herself, and we essentially see how that affects the rest of the club and MC and Sayori's relationship. In the original Salvation, the main focus was mainly on MC and Sayori's relationship, with, like, Yuri and Natsuki getting, like, what, a day to themselves, if I recall. Like, they had a CG, and then we kind of just pushed them aside once their time was done. And Monica, we got to kind of see Monica slowly starting to lose it, but we never got to really see it too much. We just kind of got to see it through the lens of the other characters. Like, we never got to fully see it ourselves too many times. We got to see it, like, sometimes a bit at times, but it never that much. So, Salvation Remake's difference is that now this is like Sonic Adventure 2, because, you know, that's the game I'm going to use as the example for two sides, you know. I'm a Sonic fan, just get used to it. Yeah, this is like, we get two sides of our story. We now have, you know, focusing on MC and Sayori's relationship, and we have Monica's perspective, which is her dealing with her powers and, you know, and everything like that. We get to see how Monica goes through all that. And this is honestly one of, in my opinion, one of the biggest issues with Salvation Remake, is that the MC and Sayori stuff is pretty interesting in the beginning. You know, that's obviously the hook of the mod and everything, you know, is like, you know, he saved Sayori, and we get to see like how awkward it is between the two. And it is very interesting in the beginning. And, you know, for a bit in the beginning, the Monica and the Sayori, you know, plot start to go pretty good hand in hand, being both very interesting. But at some point during the mod, it feels like the Monica stuff starts to be way more interesting, and the Sayori stuff starts to feel like, kind of like, repetitive, if that's the correct word. Like, I don't know if it was even repeating itself, but sometimes it felt like it was. Like, because of the fact that MC and Sayori have such a rocky relationship, they're constantly going back and forth in terms of what they want themselves to be, and they sometimes start to retread problems that happened before, or MC starts to bring things up that I'm like, why would you say that? But, you know, and then it's like, so they start having their own quarrels, and then then it'll switch to Monica's issue, where I'm like, this feels way more interesting to see, because she's like messing with the fact of, you know, the fabric of reality. She's like, is this even real? What is going on? What is happening? You know, she's questioning stuff, and like, we can see her personality slightly change. She's seeing flashbacks to the base game. Like, a lot of interesting stuff is happening with Monica's. And sometimes Sayori and MC's, they do get good ones, right? Like, sometimes there is some really good moments with MC and Sayori's story. Like, let me clarify this. I don't want to act as if I'm saying it's all bad, right? Sometimes they get some really good moments, but I feel like sometimes it's just not on par with Monica's. And I think the biggest example of this is the time where Monica's reset does go through. Because after it goes through, we are essentially stuck with the Sayori and MC plot. And once we're stuck with that, we are stuck with them, like, talking about, oh, what's gonna happen to Sayori and MC? Or they're gonna confess? And I'm like, I'm like, I don't really care about that at that point, right? Like, I'm like, to me, they could have just been friends and it would have been fine. Hell, with all the shit they went through, I feel like they should have just been friends. It felt like there was too many problems with them trying to get together. Felt like the universe was telling them to just stay friends at that point. And I want to clarify that, like, this isn't even because, oh, Zero, you just don't like it because you don't ship MC and Sayori. And I'm like, I don't think that's really true, because what makes me think that's not true is I put Relapse in A tier. And that's all about MC and Sayori's relationship, with a little bit of Monica. That's like, I put Relapse in A tier. So like, I'm fine with MC and Sayori's relationship, even like with mods, like, you know, talking about them, even if I don't ship them personally, you know? It's like, it's just, when you have a plot as interesting as Monica's alongside the plot that's supposed to be, you know, just them kind of going through their motions of dating, it's kind of hard for me to still feel invested when Monica's arc has essentially ended. Like, the most interesting story is over, so now I'm kind of stuck with the less interesting story, sadly, at least in comparison, you know? CCG revamp says should have ended with a way shorter epilogue after Monica's reset, but I think it was still pretty good. No, yeah, the mod's still pretty good. I'm just giving my opinion on this. Don't worry. Like, I know some people might be scared because I started off with this conversation. I just wanted to say this before I forgot. Like, don't worry. Dragon King says somehow the B plot became the A plot. Essentially, yes, that's kind of my opinion. For me, Monica started to feel like the A plot, and Sayori and MC started to feel like the B plot. Misty said, actually, yeah, I thought that was how they agreed to handle their relationship for a while, but the plot seemed to be bending over backwards to put them in a relationship, especially with MC. Yeah, that's why I was like, it felt like they weren't, it felt like it was like the whole goal, at least it felt like MC's goal, was that they were going to be friends now, you know? It was like, he just wants to show that I'm not doing this just to love you, I want to be your friend. So I'm like, okay, that's an interesting premise, I thought, to keep them friends, you know? I'm like, okay then, sure, yeah. Let's do that. You know, you can have an emotionally supportive friend. Sayori probably doesn't need relationship drama. But I mean, I don't hate that they ended up in a relationship at the end. Like, let me clarify. It's fine that they did. It's just, it felt like it took too long in a mod that already had, like, I think we said this in the playthrough. It felt like at times, it felt like the Monica section and the Sayori and MC section felt like two different mods instead of feeling like two mods that should be in one. Like, they both felt like they could have been two different mods and would have been fine instead of just one mod together, you know? Because there were times where they came together well, but there were a lot of times where I felt like they were two completely different things going on to where they didn't really feel like they were fully connecting that well, you know? But, you know, other than that, though, I will say, beautiful CGs. Obviously, beautiful CG. I love the little animatic between the acts, you know, the beautiful there. I love that Natsuki and Yuri are not backseated in this mod. I love that they are actual characters, you know? Like, that is one thing this one definitely 100% has over the original Salvation, is that Yuri and Natsuki are not just, you know, all right, you got your day, go on now, you know? Like, I love that they are actual characters in this. I love that they play big roles in this mod, you know? I do love that. I love that they are here. I love that they play big roles in both stories. I love that, like, Natsuki plays a big role in the story, and sometimes she helps out, you know, Sayori and MC, or sometimes she hangs out with Monica. I loved the scene where Monica and Natsuki are have their little day out together, you know? I think that's probably one of my favorite scenes in this mod, is the Natsuki and Monica day, because I honestly fucking loved that. I felt like that was amazing. Like, Monica essentially going through this problem that she can't really tell Natsuki, and Natsuki knows Monica's going through an issue, but she also can relate with the fact of being, you know, going through something, but not being able to share it. So, you know, in her own little way, she kind of, you know, helps her, you know, feel better about it. You know, I loved that. Like, this was like, oh, that part was really good. I loved that. I think, were there new poems? I think there were new poems. There might have been new poems. There are new poems, right? New poems are probably good. I'm not really like a poem connoisseur. Like, I'm never gonna rank people's poems. I will say that now. Like, I'm not really, mainly because it feels weird to rank a poem anyway, because it's like, well, a poem's like a personal piece of writing. Like, how do you rank a poem? Sorry, your personal writing isn't good. Like, it's weird to even rank a poem. A poem is like your feelings, I suppose. So it's like, I don't know. I feel like that was kind of the point DDLC was even trying to show us anyway, that it's like, it's kind of hard to rank a poem, because that's why when the girls would rank the poems, they'd rank them based on if you made it for themselves. It was to show that people had different writing styles, you know? So it's kind of hard to rank poems. So I'll just say, poems were good anyway, you know? Liked the poems. The music was good. Loved the music. That was grand. What else? The characterizations, Natsuki and Yuri were perfectly in character. The only problem I think I had with those two was together. I kind of felt like towards the end, their dynamic felt too, like, clean, I guess is the word I'd use. Like, because it's like, it felt like, I understand, they're like, look, they're friends now, they don't really argue or anything, and it felt like they tried to make it too clean to where they don't even really have that much of a fun dynamic anymore. It felt like they were trying to make sure they're like, look, they're friends, you know, they won't have any arguments. I feel like Natsuki and Yuri should have arguments. It's just they know how to end them now. That's what they should be. They shouldn't be like, ah, you're right, Yuri, I'm just joshing with you, you know? Like, I feel like they should still be able to, no banter, exactly, like Green Omega said. I feel like they should be able to still banter with each other, just now they won't hold grudges. I feel like that should be the difference. Like, Natsuki and Yuri feel like the type of people to have an argument and be like, yeah, whatever. And Natsuki's like, you want to go get lunch? And Yuri's like, sure. And they just go and get lunch afterwards, like, you know? Like, it felt like they were a little too harmonious. Exactly, 1,000 eyes. They felt like they were too friendly. But again, that was something that only really happened towards the end of the mod, honestly. So, I mean, it's not that big of a deal. It's just something I noticed. Their characterizations, for the most part, were great for those two. Sayori's, I think, was fine as well. I don't recall having any real issue with Sayori's. You know, they kept a very... I think it kept a very good balance of her being mature, but also still being silly. Because I do find that a lot of mods have this problem, where they feel like they don't know how to balance Sayori at times. Because I know a lot of people are going to say, yeah, like the ones that treat her like a kid. It's like, it's funny because I feel like those are the only ones people bring up. No one brings up the the other problem that I've been seeing in some mods. Some mods, in my opinion, make her too responsible. to count, it feels like they feel like they overly adjust Sayori. Like, to counteract the I don't want to babyfy Sayori, they end up making Sayori too responsible. An example of this, a great example of this, is Within. Within is a great example of this, because Sayori in that mod might as well just be Monica. Because she is, like, too responsible in Within, to the point where I'm like, that's not even Sayori. So it's like, yeah, I feel like you have to strike a good balance of obviously not babying her, but still give her the childlike nature that Sayori is known for, you know? It's like, you still gotta at least give her that. And I think Salvation Remake does do a good job of balancing that. Out for her characterization. Monica is also pretty good in this mod. Monica is great in this mod. As far as Monica's like fantastic in this mod in terms of characterization. Like, this is probably the best, like, closest to my, like, kind of headcanon as to how Monica's kind of epiphany worked. Because it followed a lot of the things I thought. Like, it followed the fact that Monica secretly always cared about the girls. That's something I always kind of headcanoned in the base game, because I always felt like there was evidence to support that, you know, and they very much follow that. You know, she always secretly cared about them and everything. And, you know, this was definitely something, you know, they showed that very well. Again, I think the only thing that I'm not a huge fan of is the drinking scene. But, you know, people have disagreed with me on that, and that's fine. Doesn't mean I'm moving my opinion of it. But, I mean, that's not going to make me... It wasn't like it was that big of a deal. It's one scene. It's one scene, obviously. But I'm not changing my opinion. I stand by my opinions of the drinking scene. I think it could have made more sense if Monica herself had the intention of getting drunk, you know, to lose herself in the alcohol than to accidentally lose herself in it, you know? That's just my opinion. I feel like it would make more sense for her to intentionally lose herself in it, you know? Because I know some people are like, oh, she's a newbie drinker, she would obviously do that. And I'm like, man, I only started drinking recently and I didn't get accidentally drunk. Like, you can control yourself even if you're new to drinking. Like, especially if you're someone who has a lot of self-control, which Monica kind of does. Misty says, what she excels at is emotional intelligence. That's her biggest strength. She has a mischievous side, but she can be forgetful and clumsy. Yeah, that's my thing with Sayori. I feel like a lot of people forget that Sayori is emotionally intelligent, but she's not exactly book smart, and a lot of times she can be clumsy. and forgetful. You know, she's a little silly, basically. Don't be afraid to let Sayori be silly. Don't let her be too silly, you know, but also don't be afraid to let her be a bit silly. Like, I feel like some people, they start to get afraid of a silly Sayori. Let her be silly. Yeah, ultimately, though, my biggest issue with just Salvation Remake, if I recall, was really just the, was also MC. He's actually one of my big issues, honestly. It doesn't, maybe I'm wrong, but I know for me personally, it didn't feel like MC really changed in this story. Like, he felt like he kept making the same, it felt like he made the same mistakes like multiple times in this mod, and it felt like by the end, he didn't even feel like a different character. Like, Sayori, sure, she kind of feels like she developed a bit, you know? Monica definitely developed. Yuri and Natsuki developed too. MC doesn't feel like he really developed at all. He felt like he was the same guy by the end. You know, still making almost the exact same mistakes. It felt like, if anything, Sayori was luckily taking those things in stride, because holy shit, dude, just felt like he didn't change at all. Definitely not the most egregious MC I've seen, or even like, I wouldn't even call him like bad. He just feels serviceable in this mod at the very, like, honestly. Like, he just feels like he serves his purpose in this mod, ultimately. Like, he did annoy me at times, but he never annoyed me as much as, say, like, Fruits MC, or, you know, I don't know. What are other MCs I don't like? A lot of MCs are just kind of standard. I would say, like, he is just standard, really. I would say, like, is there any other? I mean, I guess, well, Blue Sky's Natsuki MC. I'm not a big fan of that guy. I remember not liking him, yeah, because he was, like, super stickler for rules for some reason. Overall, though, for Salvation Remake, I think it's a solid A tier mod. I think it's a solid A tier. It was good. It's a solid mod that I'd recommend to a lot of people. Honestly, I'd recommend anything on this tier list. But, you know, I go down the line. I recommend S tiers, then I recommend A tiers, then I recommend B tiers. But also depending on what people want, that's personally. But yeah, no, I feel like Salvation Remake gives me the exact same vibes to original Salvation as Final Fantasy VII Remake does to Final Fantasy VII. Because even though I'm putting it on the same tier as A tier, and it's like, did it improve over Salvation? That depends on you as a person. I know for some people, I heard some people saying they like the original Salvation more, and that's fair. The original Salvation does some things better than Remake, and Remake does things better than the original. For me personally, I feel Remake is the package I probably enjoy more than OG Salvation. You know? I mean, OG Salvation, I think, has a easier ending. Has an easier time ending to it. Actually, wait, no, it doesn't. Actually, wait, no, it doesn't. Oh, wait, I just remembered the other thing I did want to talk about. One thing I also do like about OG Salvation is Monica keeps her awareness right. That was a big thing I almost didn't talk about. So that is one thing I'm not a fan of in Remake, is the solution to Monica's problem essentially ends up being that she forgets everything that ever happened and she is no longer aware. And to me personally, I still think Salvation Remake's an A tier, let me just clarify. But to me personally, I never really enjoy when stories do that to fix Monica's problem, you know, is that they just kind of make her like, don't worry, Monica, we'll just remove your awareness. And I'm like, I don't like that, because essentially, also because that's something Monica, even in the base game, says she wouldn't want. You know, she's like, even if she's cursed with this knowledge, she likes the fact that she at least has it. She likes to at least know. So I always felt like the perfect, or at least, you know, the good, like, I always felt like the best way for Monica's arc to usually end in stories with her being aware and stuff is her learning to live with it instead of, you know, having it all just erased. Because it feels like a weird thing, especially as I think it's mentioned in the mod. It's like, it makes a lot of her, like, apologies and stuff to the girls, or even the lessons she learned, it makes them feel slightly hollow because of the fact that she doesn't even remember what she did. Like, it's not even there anymore. She doesn't have to live with these problems because, well, they're gone. You know? So it's just kind of like, that is one thing I do like about OG Salvation, is that Monica lives with those things. She lives with those problems, even if they kind of redid the ending again in OG Salvation. Like, they have them hug, and then, like, it's still awkward in the club room, only for them to then have another talk, and then they're fine the next day. That was always weird to me. But, You know, it's like I wasn't a big fan of the whole Monica get rid of Monica's awareness to make her good, you know. I like making her learn to live with her problem, you know. Misty says, yeah, for its flaws, I prefer the original, plus OG Salvation was my early introduction to DDLC mods in general, so admittedly I have a soft spot for it. That's fair. I mean, OG Salvation is still great in my opinion. I still think OG Salvation holds up very well. You know, there's some little silly stuff here and there, like Monica crashing the car, the realistic car crash and stuff. And even as I mentioned, the ending, but overall, I still think original Salvation still holds up. So, if anything, that's why I did hear there was like a remaster of OG Salvation. So I'm glad that actually exists, because that's good. Like I said, Salvation Remake feels like the Final Fantasy VII remake to Salvation. It's a different way to experience Salvation, which you might like more, you might not like it more. But ultimately, I think it's a good thing to exist. Voice crack, you heard. You didn't actually hear that voice crack. Ignore it. I think it's good. I like it. It's still, for the flaws that I do have with it, I do think the overall package is still very good. Also, their side stories. I don't know if I'm gonna play those because the mod is very long. But the mod is very long. But I mean, I don't know. Those are probably good. So you can play them if you want to. Just Scraptrap says, that was my problem with Monica. She forgets her awareness. I hate that. Exactly. She'd rather keep that knowledge of the world than be blind to it. Yeah, that's how I felt too. Dragon King says, same argument you can make with removing Sayori's depression to solve the issue, since the awareness being gone makes it seem like sweeping under the rug. Actually, that is a very good, that's a very good comparison, Dragon King. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, it is essentially like if you removed Sayori's depression to solve her issue. It's like, it doesn't really... You know, it's like, it doesn't really feel like it solves the problem, you know? It's like, I feel like it's something that, it feels like a cop-out almost, to be like, don't worry, Monica, all your problems will be solved. Let's just erase your awareness, you know? Because, like, I feel like Monica can be fine and can live with the awareness. You know, I think it's possible. Overall, I would say I probably prefer Remake than base Salvation, but that's just me personally. Again, it's similar to Final Fantasy VII Remake and the original Final Fantasy VII. Some people like 7 Remake more, some people like OG 7. At this point, it's just like, choose your flavor. Like, I think one isn't specifically better than the other. It's just, it's different. It's a different telling of that story. Maybe you'll move it up to S after playing the side stories. To be honest, with how many mods that I have to play nowadays, I'm not even sure if I'll ever even have time to go back to play the side stories. Also because, I mean, this has nothing to do with the mod. I'm not really interested in playing the side stories. Like, with how long of a mod Salvation was, and I felt like with me kind of sitting there, with the ending kind of feeling like it was dragging its feet a bit, I kind of didn't want any more content from Salvation, if you know what, if you feel me. You know, like, I feel like everything wrapped up just fine, you know, in that mod. I feel like I'm satisfied, essentially, you know? Like, I'm kind of satisfied with it. I'm fine with it for people who want to play it themselves, though, you know? It's like, you know, it's like fucking, I know those people, I know there's probably tons of people who loved Remake and wanted more, so the side stories definitely, you know, gave them what they needed with that. But for me personally, it's kind of similar to, you know, Redux's. Actually, no, Redux I didn't play with side stories for different reasons. I wasn't really enjoying Redux myself personally, so I was like, I don't really want to play the side stories because I'm not really enjoying this, you know? But again, with Salvation Remake, it's not about the fact of me not enjoying it, it's about just how long the mod was. I felt like I've gotten my full of Salvation Remake. I feel like I've gotten the story that I needed to tell. DJRM says, off topic, but Salvation Remake had some damn good voice acting for Zero, which took me back to the pipeline on some of the other mod playlists. Oh, I thought this was... Thank you. I was reading that thinking that was like your opinion on something. I mean, I guess your opinion on me. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed the voice acting during it. Yeah, that is this tier list. My God. How many mods are we at now? Hold on. We have 1, 2, 3, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, 116. So, I might have miscounted some of those things in there. You know, I'm not going to act as if my counting there was perfect. But we have done around 116 mods. That's a lot of mods. Damn, if we counted beforehand, we could have had the big old 100 mod DDLC mod playthrough. Yeah, sadly, I don't know what mod that was now. I don't know what the 100th mod was. Somebody would have to, like, go through, like, chronologically of when we played all these and figure out what the hell the 100th mod was. It's probably going to be something funny, though. And that is it for this tier list video. If you want to get a better look at this image for yourself, the link to the image will be in the description down below. This has been Zero. Peace.
For the days ahead of us, put your hands up, wave it side to side.